What up, guys? It's your boy Quake, and I want to talk about DMX today. He was recently on tour for the Rough Riders 20-year reunion show. I love when old hip-hop groups do reunion shows. They tour around the world, and old fans and even some new fans start to appreciate them again, because I feel like in hip-hop we forget about our older artists and we just toss them to the side. It's always about the new, out with the old. And I've never liked that, so I love seeing reunion shows. The Rough Riders doing a reunion. I believe Murder Inc. did a reunion before. Bad Boy. Would like to see G Unit with The Game. That would be amazing if we could see that too. Dipset as well. That would be great. But what I want to talk about is on April 21st, just a few days ago, DMX is on the reunion tour and he decided, to perform. He did his set and sort of sounded a little weird, sort of sounded like he was slurring, like he was on drugs. And for me, I know this as being normal DMX. He's always been an artist that's been on drugs, that's always been under the influence. And he slurs, goes on rants, talks about, God and how the devil's always trying to take over your life. And it's good preaching. It helps a lot of people. He wants to just touch people with the soul and with the music. He does these rants and he sounds like he's slurring though in this show. So when this show was happening, a lot of people were tweeting, and mostly the younger generation, because they don't know too much about DMX or they're not familiar with his drug use. He's a functioning drug addict. Let's just be honest here. He knows how to function even while on drugs. He works, gets his work done, works hard, and he's been like this throughout his whole life. So when he was performing, slurring and saying all these things and ranting and not really performing, the younger generation started to go on Twitter and tweeting like, hey, DMX, is he okay? He sounds crazy. He's probably under influence of some crazy drugs. And we just know DMX as being this now. It's been some time now. It's just DMX. He's just a crazy, unique person. It's not a bad thing. I mean, there's some bad parts to it, but that's just DMX himself. I've always known him like this since I've been listening to him. But since he did that show and I saw these tweets, I just wanted to go sort of on a rant and talk about not only DMX, but just hip-hop in general having a drug issue and a drug problem. I feel like when hip-hop first started, it wasn't about drugs. Then it sort of transitioned rapping about dealing about drugs. And then it transitions to the rappers being the users. Now we hear Future, Migos, whatever, whoever it is, rapping about using drugs, Molly's, Percocets, whatever it is, syrup. Lil Wayne's rapped about Rick Ross, just people, and all these people have had drug issues and drug problems, health problems. A lot of these artists go through personal things, and I think we don't realize that. We need to realize that these artists are humans. They go through their own problems, and they may rap and make great music for you, but you have to understand they're humans as well. So I feel like a lot of these artists use these drugs to cope with their inner problems, and they use the music to sort of vent. But we have to understand that, DMX, I kind of feel mostly bad for DMX because he was sort of tricked and dragged into this, because if you don't know, he was first a weed smoker. And then one day his weed got laced with, I believe, cocaine. I might be wrong on that. It might be cocaine or something else. But it got laced with a drug that he normally doesn't take. And when he smoked this, he got addicted to, I'm willing to bet it's cocaine. So he got addicted to cocaine, and then it sort of spiraled out of control. So it turned him into this addict that he didn't know he was going to become. So that's why you got to be careful about whose drugs you take, because you don't know who these people are and what kind of drugs they're giving you. So I don't want to turn this into a preaching, kids after school program. But I feel sorry for DMX. He's helped me throughout my own life, and I feel bad for all the things that he's going through. Granted, he has a problem that he doesn't want to fix. I mean, he's been on shows, tried fixing it. He's been, when he was in prison, he was clear. I feel like prison is the only thing that's stopping him from doing drugs, because he has no access to it there. So whenever he gets out, he starts then alcohol and does whatever else that he wants to do. there's been scary moments where he's been in prison and news got out that he was dead. Thankfully, it wasn't real. And there's been moments where I believe a year ago or 2 years ago, he died in like a parking lot for a little bit. He was under cardiac arrest, I believe, and they resuscitated him. So that's another scary situation. I just don't want to wake up one day and find on the news that, hey, DMX is dead, because at this rate, it's looking like it could go downhill really quick and even faster than it already is. It's already a downhill thing, and it's at lowest you can possibly be right now, but it could just get worse and worse over time. I feel like he's surrounded with some great people like Swizz Beatz. Swizz Beatz is a clean, sober guy, and he's constantly with him, so I feel like Swizz Beatz is one of the key people that's keeping him on track, as well as his ex-wife and a few other people. So I just don't want to see this happen to any artist. These people are humans. They go through their own problems. I don't know why they're promoting it or feeling like they have to use these drugs to sort of cope with this. Thankfully for me, I don't have to use drugs to cope with things. I just work my way through things. I either work out or I do different things to just get my mind off something that I'm going through. A perfect example that you can change your life around is Gucci Mane. He really, did a whole 180. And when he was in prison, he was fat, chubby, sipping a lot of syrup, out of his mind. He even said himself he was gonna snap one moment and possibly kill somebody had he not gone to prison, because those drugs influence you to do stupid things too. So Gucci Mane is a perfect example of how you can just flip your life around. And now he's succeeding, man. He's healthy. He's getting #1 records with Ray Sherman. He got a #1 record. He's selling records again. He's writing books now, which is crazy. He's flipped his life around completely, and that's a good example. A lot more rappers need to look at Gucci Mane, need to look at 50 Cent too. He's not a drug user. I mean, he was selling vitamin water at one point. Russell Simmons is another good example. Dr. Dre, all these artists who are already established, who've reached this sort of plateau, they don't do drugs when you look at it. I mean, Diddy probably drinks, Jay-Z probably drinks here and there, but other than that, these guys aren't drug users. The really successful ones aren't. I mean, you can point to whatever successful one that's really successful. They're not really drug users. So I just feel like this glorification in hip hop of using drugs is just getting, the drug users are sort of taking over, and it's getting sort of disgusting and tired. I'm tired of hearing it too. I mean, it's on every song, and I don't blame J. Cole for wanting to quit at one point, because this is just getting ridiculous and it's getting out of hand. There's no boundaries anymore. Everybody's mixing all kinds of shit together, whether it's Molly's with syrup, whatever it is. I'm not a drug user, so I don't know what the fuck these people mix or what they use. But, Lil Wayne getting, seizures, Rick Ross getting seizures, Pimp C died supposedly of syrup. So I just don't like seeing, people die over just dumb drug use and it being glorified. That's the problem, is that kids hear these songs and they think it's a cool thing to do. Granted, it's cool to have fun, use a little bit of drugs like alcohol, but don't mix them up and mix and match and do all kinds of crazy shit. That's just taking it over the line. Me, when I go out and have fun, I don't have to use drugs. Thankfully, I can still have fun without it. I've never had the need to do that. And I'm not bashing anybody who does these things. I don't want you guys to take it to like, oh, he's trying to preach and, you're a bad person if you use drugs. No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying do it in moderation. Know what you're doing. Know what you're taking to. Don't just take something because you see somebody else taking it and he recommends it to you. Know what you're doing, because this is, like I said, DMX got laced with cocaine. How is he supposed to know that it was laced with cocaine? And it could lead to an addiction. You might, get some cocaine and then you might end up really liking it, and then, spiraling out of whatever, control, whatever. It could lead to anything. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think DMX can make a good comeback? I feel like he can still. He has that voice. He has that aggression. I mean, he's always had the talent. Do you think he just needs to stay away from the drugs, stay in the studio, locked in the studio? And I feel like he can make a comeback. Let me know what you guys think about that. And are you guys tired of this drug music? Do you appreciate it? Do you dislike it? Because everybody has different tastes. Some people like it. I personally like it in certain environments. I don't like it all the time, but it's sort of getting oversaturated, and a lot of people are sort of jumping to this wave, and everybody's sort of getting influenced by it, like I said. So leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.